We head from the valley to Utica and west to the city of Rome. Historically, this area enjoyed great strategic and commercial importance along the ancient east-west and northern trade routes. In 1786, Irish-born entrepreneur Dominic Lynch bought and mapped the area and named it Lynchville.
The founder of Rome was Dominic Lynch. He bought up all the property, he sectioned off each lot, and he was not very popular because he actually would not sell the property. The locals would have to actually rent from him. So we have the original map from 1796, I would say. His family lived on in the Rome Turning Radiator Company, which was formed in 1905, and their primary role was to manufacture radiators. I think the biggest thing myself is the honeycomb radiator for Mercedes-Benz in 1908, I believe. And they just continued. They did tubing and, you know, different things they started from that contract. They were working with every auto manufacturer that pretty much was imaginable.
Opening here in a few weeks is a farming display with all sorts of homemade tools and something else that I find to be interesting because we think we have it hard nowadays with walking around with the shoes that we wear. Can you imagine? This is the kind of shoe that they wore back then. They'd have wool socks or whatever, and they'd put their feet into these, and these are solid wood. Can you imagine having these on as you work the fields? This person, whoever it was, had a pretty good sized foot. Being the father of 3 girls, I have a pretty good idea of what it cost for the white wedding gowns. But if you turn the clock back to the 19th century, they were much more practical. They didn't have just one white wedding gown for one day. They would have something like this right here that they could wear throughout the year. And as a matter of fact, the other 2 popular colors were black and red, nothing white, so that they could use these beautiful gowns throughout the entire year, not just for the wedding.
I'm gonna watch the sunset in the desert, be the prettiest sight I'll ever see. Tomorrow I'll be yonder, the bright lights of Vegas, wasting time and money in some old worn-out slot machine.
When you drive along West Dominic Street or walk along and you see the Arsenal House here, take a peek across the street because the buildings across the street are the original barracks. Now we're talking about the War of 1812. Take a tour of this building and you're going to see some architecture. The door frames, for example, the mantles on the fireplaces are all original. This was the Commandant's house, and throughout its history it was home to 11 United States commanding officers. It is one of the few examples of federal-style architecture in the Mohawk Valley.
Praying in the middle of the bridge, the water sings its joyful hymn, the wind it whispers its soft amen, praying in the middle of the bridge.
The Capitol Theater was built as a movie house and opened in 1928. Today, the auditorium and much of its original decor is exactly as it was in the 1920s, including the original Moeller theater organ.
The organ was put in to accompany silent films. At that time, when they started building the theater, films had no soundtracks. Now by the time that the Capitol was open, most films did have some kind of a soundtrack, so it didn't get a great deal of use actually accompanying silent films, but that's what it was created for. That's why it has all the effects and the various percussion instruments on it. We brought it back to use quite a bit starting in 2002, and since then we've been using it on a regular basis to accompany films, to play concerts, or to play some pre-show music before movies. There are probably about 40 theater organs in theaters in the United States, and as far as original installation theater organs, fewer than that even.
Back in the early 1970s, I heard a recording of a theater pipe organ, and from that point on, I just fell in love with it. And at the time, I was a musician. I had had performed, I played rather, French horn, accordion, drums. But in order to play one of these successfully, you need music school training. And after I got out of the military, off to music school I went. Well, this is a 1928 Moeller theater pipe organ. It is one of the few in the country that exists in its original installation. There are many theater organs still existing around the country, but very few in the original theater that they were installed in. One of the things that made Moeller very unique was its special sound effects that it used to accompany the silent films. It's music history. We don't have that anymore. And even if you're a youngster sitting in a darkened theater watching a silent film with a live accompaniment, you can't get that. It's just really something to see.
If you'd like to know what it was like in 1928 to come to the movies, you can find out by coming here to the Rome Capitol and hear this unbelievable organ along with a movie. Could you teach me something on here? I'm not very musically inclined, but let's give it a shot.
Well, some of the things, the special effects that the organs had, one of the things here is a horn, this forward horn here.
Yeah, that's
right, right, and the songbirds, they're kind of quiet. That siren, that we have some boat whistles, and probably the doorbell
is kind of quiet today.
Kind of quiet doorbell.
Yeah.
Visit the Capitol Theater this Saturday at 7 o'clock for the Theater Organ Pops Concert. The concert features New Jersey's Bernie Anderson, followed by his accompaniment of the 1917 short film The Bellboy, starring Fatty Arbuckle and Buster Keaton.